went up to Byron and went
Yeah,
to
went to
Buttery.
the rehab, yeah. And got in the rehab, and you're not allowed to have any contact with anyone, and they came and got me. I'd been there for about a week or 2 weeks.
And you decided that that's where you wanted to go? You'd heard about it?
I went to different detox units, a few different...
Prior?
Because you think, I can do this myself.
Yeah.
Then you find out you can't, and then you go to... I was introduced to a whole different way of living, and some people embrace it straight away. I didn't, and then I go to. I just wanted it all to stop. I wanted the noise to stop. I wanted to go away somewhere where I didn't have to answer to anyone. I didn't have to talk to my parents. I didn't want to talk to anybody, And I went up there to this place and got accepted. It took me 3 weeks to be on. I was on a waiting list. Got in and it's pretty. It's a beautiful place. It was great. But
I've actually been to the Buttery, had a feed around there,
Oh,
and watched
you?
a few movies
Oh,
there.
did you?
Yeah.
Spent
a lot of time in Byron in those days. Yeah.
Well, and I thought I was going to have to be careful in the showers. I thought it was like jail. I thought that's what it would be like. But I got there, and after a couple of weeks, they said, I got called up to the office, and they said, there's a phone call for you, and we're going to let you take the phone call. It's pretty important. It was the manager of the Divinals. We had a new manager by then, and he said, we just want to send you a message that basically we've got someone else, and we're going overseas. And
Who was that? No? Who replaced you? You know his name? Because I want to know who he is.
While you're thinking about that, how did you feel at that moment?
Shocking.
Stabbed in the heart.
You know what I was doing? When they came and got me, I was working in a veggie patch, making a vegetable garden with another resident, because they give you jobs to do.
I'd love to do that. Yeah. No, I'm serious. I love.
He loves his plants. He's like,
it was good. It was great. It was great up there.
You're just stabbed in the heart, and you had your jugular cut, and you're going through rehab. Fuck, that must have been a dark moment. You say, I've lost my job, lost my friends,
lost my career. Yep.
They're off to tour the world, and I'm here in rehab at the Buttery in Byron. How long were you there for?
It was nearly 6 months.
That's it, the Buttery.
I know you still go back, don't you? And you try and help them out there.
Yeah.
And that's a long time ago now, isn't it?
Yeah, that was at 1987.
There you go.
And while I was in there, speaking about midnight oil, I get a message, a letter. We're allowed to get letters, and I got a cassette of Diesel and Dust.
Oh, before it was released.
And Rob says, I've still got the letter. He says, I suppose it's not the right time to ask you this, but we're going to have to get a new bass player.
And was that the second or third
That was
time?
the
The second time you knocked him
Every
back.
time you get a cassette, that happens. I've kind of noticed.
So let me ask you this. You get cleaned up.
Yep.
Did you ever go back and use it again?
I did.
How long after that?
16 months after.
Fuck,
I
what was
straight.
that like?
Because stuff happened. I mean, and what I've learned, it's different, for someone that has my disorder or whatever it is, I have an allergy to alcohol or drugs. If I take one, can't stop. So, and I've learnt that the recovery thing doesn't work if you try and integrate it into your life. You've got to make it the most important thing in your life. Mm-hmm. So that's what I had to do. Look, I stayed clean for 15 months, and then I was 9 months, and the Hoodoo Gurus. I got a message asking if I'd come and have a play with them, and I did. And
what was that like? Fuck, I'm back on deck.
Incredible.
Yeah, gotta be.
It's incredible. And I didn't even. I think about it now, and it's just so ridiculous. But if I'd thought, well, maybe other people want to be in the Hoodoo Gurus too. Maybe there are other bass players who want that gig. Then I find out after, everybody. They were a big band, and I went and had a play. They actually said to me when I went to the audition, they said, because they'd seen the Divinals, and they said, we know how you play. It's not really an issue. It's what we've heard about you.
Yeah.
And so I told them that I was doing this thing every day, and so far so good. And they went, fair enough. What's your favourite movie? I said, Dr. Strangelove. Know that movie?
But yeah, that is...
Seriously, Dr. Strangelove.
Oh, man.
And they went, you're in the band.
I watched it not that long
You're
ago.
in the band.
I've watched it half a dozen times. I reckon that is out there, that movie.
That is really strange.
I'm interested in what took you back to using again.
Okay, well, it's a kind of... Well, it's basically what I said. I put things ahead of my recovery, and we were going overseas, and I had some stuff going on, personal stuff with my marriage, and we just had a baby, and just not dealing with stuff, you know, I should have dealt with, you know. And recovery is all about communicating, you know, your fears, basically, and I didn't, you know, and I kept saying, yeah, everything's good, and then... See, what happens with recovery with someone's thinking is that your thinking changes, right? So
you have to change your thinking,
and it does. Yes. And so I'd gone. So So recovery improves your attitude, you know, your whole thing. And there's it's called a 12-step program. You know, it helps you. It's a framework. You know, and your life starts to improve. You start to feel better about yourself. You feel more peaceful. And then it's a very subtle thing. If you stop doing that, you don't start feeling bad or anything, but just it starts to sort of, you know, you start to go back to the person you were. And the person I was... Is there any
guilt in that?
Oh,
Not at that stage, but later?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so I went... At this stage, I had a baby girl, and I was in a marriage, and I was part of the Hoodoo Gurus. So it was a big, thing. And I just got this idea that we were going overseas. I thought, I'll get a little bit of dope for the plane. Let's knock myself out. So I did that and went away for 4 months. Didn't even drink. And when I got back to Sydney, it was kind of on again. Not like it was before, but because I was in a marriage with someone who was also in recovery. So she just pegged me straight away. She just said, "What are you doing?" And then it escalated, and then I kept it quiet from the band. I told our manager about it, and he would check in with me regularly. And I was trying to go back to. I was trying to get back on the horse. And the last time I used any drugs was on the 3rd of July 1990, and it was very glamorous. It was in Albury, Wodonga, in a hotel room, and I nearly died in the hotel room.
Wow.
Nearly something happened. Yeah, and my wife had asked me to leave, and something happened in that hotel room. In the morning, we were going down to the Snow to play for 2 weeks. We were going to work on some new songs for an album called Kinky that we put out. And I don't know, I just got up in the morning and I just thought, I'm done. And I rang up my wife, my ex-wife, then I said, I'm done. Give me another chance. She said, yep. And then I rang a guy called my sponsor. It was a guy in AA, and I said, I'm done. And he said, okay, good. And
that was
it. And I haven't.
So no drink, no drugs, no nothing since 1990. No. Wow.
And you make that.
Let me say this. Yeah. Congratulations, mate. That's a huge effort.
Well,
so you don't want
any? You're in the music industry, man.
So you don't want any?
So we joke about it, I mean, we joke about it like
you have to. I would.
You must have strong willpower. That's a joke to me. It's not about willpower at all. You know, it's about admitting that it's bigger than you and you're done, pretty much. And you need, if you've got any illness, if you've got I was in a hospital, and the people who work in the detox units and stuff back then, in the 80s, they were just magnificent people. And they would confront you. They'd confront you on your selfish behaviour. because addiction,
That's what it is. Yeah.
it's a selfish. I would put that ahead of everything. I'd walk over anybody to get it. And she said to me, this great woman, she said, "So what are you going to do when you get out of this hospital?" I said, "I'll move to Queensland." She said, "That's nice. So if you had diabetes, do you think moving to Queensland would fix it?" I said, "No, of course not." And she said, "Well, you need to look at this in the same way.
Yeah.
Where a diabetic, no matter how much they think, they're going to get sick unless they get something outside themselves, which is their insulin. And I have to look at it in the same way. And millions of people who are sober do that. That's how they do it. It's something, an illness that's bigger than me, so I need something, I'm not religious at all, by the way, but I need something else, that, I don't miss it, It was funny.
Do you ever get a yearning for
No,
it? No,
never.
No.
But I've had funny things. I mean, funny. When I first got sober, before I joined the Hoodoo Gurus, I get given this job. It was a friend of mine who was in recovery. He said, "Do you want a job delivering pizza, delivering food?" So I'm like, "Yeah, okay." So we're driving around Sydney.
Good on you, man.
So driving around Sydney with a walkie-talkie. This is before mobile
It's
phones.
like fat pizza.
Oh, fuck, it was funny.
It's
It was,
like
I mean, I
Uber.
wish I could have filmed something.
Documented it, yeah.
Because it was the beginning of ordering food from restaurants, having it delivered. So
DoorDash.
oh mate, it was so funny.
Rick Dash.
So one night,
Dash.
I'm driven down William Street. Fuck. I've got the walkie-talkie going, and there were four of us, and everyone's barking mad, working at this thing. It was funny. And I felt great. I was just so happy because I was sober, had no responsibilities. I was getting, some money, and I actually, this woman who worked in this detox, she was so good. She pegged me, right? And she made me, this sounds ridiculous, she made me sign a contract. She wrote it out. She's funny. She looked like Dame Edna. She made me write it out. She said, "I will not touch my bass for 6 months."
Your bass guitar?
Yeah, because I had to find out who I am, and that was my whole identity. I was a member of the Divinals, and I was this and so I did that, and I wasn't, playing, and I'm in this car, and I pull up at the lights in William Street, and this car pulls up next to me. It's all of Hunters and Collectors, and they're like, "Rick," and I'm like, "Hi guys." I said, "Where are you guys going?" They said, "Oh, the ARIA Awards." So,
and you're delivering pizzas.
I said, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm taking Pete to the centre point." And they're like,
wow.
Do they ask for a pizza with the works? Yeah, they.
but I would deliver. These,
Did anybody know who you were when you delivered the pizza?
No,
the mystery bass player.
No,
Yeah.
but one night it was, you hear funny things in AA, and I've got a million funny sayings, but I'm taking these pizzas to this pub in Paddington, and it was the bar staff. They closed the pub, and they're all having a drink, and I bring the pizza, and one bloke goes, "You going to have a drink with us?" I said, "Yeah, sure. I'll have a Coke or something." What are you talking about? Well, give him a scotch. And I said, "I don't want a scotch. I'm okay, I'll just have this Coke, And he goes, "No, what are you?" That.
Yeah.
Typical.
That shit, yeah.
Yep.
And I'm like, I don't drink. "Oh, come on. Mate, I don't drink." And this other guy says, "I think I understand. You mean, if you have a drink, you'll really regret it." And I said, "No, if I have a drink, you'll really regret it." It was funny. It was funny. It was a funny time, and it was like free. I got my life back, and then the Gurus came along, and
So the Gurus have been going 30 odd years.
40 years.
You've been playing with them?
30. I joined in 1988. So
On that, Rick, what was it like playing sober? If you played under the influence for so long, what was that experience like?
it was different. It was great. And it was, I had to, what I had to do was, I had to put a safety net in. Like, I had to say, look, some nights if we're at a gig, there'll be people drinking. Like happened the other night where people come into your dressing room and they're really pissed and they, I met you in 1984. Remember?
Do you remember don't start him. Don't start him, please.
Do you remember that happens in the music industry? Well, people have come up to me and said, bet. Do you remember me? I had a schooner with you in the Wagga Wagga RSL.
That's right.
With Greg Matthews in 1984. Yeah. And you don't want to cut the bloke's heart. Oh, yeah, mate. How are you, mate? And you go, but the best. You've also got to realise, Rick, that for those guys, that's a big moment.
Of course.
So Steve Waugh might have been with us that day. So there's me, Steve Waugh and Greg Matthews, and he's had a beer with us. We all played Test cricket. Big moment. But when they think that you might remember him from 1984 at the Wagga Wagga RSL.
You know Thorpe, Billy Thorpe,
yeah.
Right? He told me, I didn't know Billy. I only ever had one conversation, and he could talk, that guy. And we were talking about that, and he told me that, he said, I had this guy come up to me. He said, remember me, Bill? And I said, no, I don't. He says, the White Horse Hotel in Melbourne in 1975. And he's like, sorry, mate, I don't remember. He said, Bill, it was the best night of my life, meeting you, best night of my life. I got up on stage with you and you hit me with a mic stand and knocked me out.
And then he go, I remember
that. That's crazy. Isn't it?
One story back to Matt Finish for a second. I believe Pete Townsend, did he used to write to you?
Yeah, I used to write to him.
I used to write to him.
Yeah, no, I've got letters back from him, yeah.
So how did that, that's just a weird story.
Hang on, we're talking about Wow. From the Who?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Geez, you're a name dropper. Ain't he dropping names all night? That's a good one to drop, bud.
So that's why Rob Hurst and I are really good mates, because the first time we met was outside the Bondi Lifesaver.
What a great
venue. And spent a lot of nights there too, mate.
And he and I, he'd come to see a band. I was in one of the Melbourne bands who was playing up there, and we started talking about the Who, and he loves the Who, and I was obsessed with them, and there was this guy in Melbourne who was into Maya Baba, the Indian guru that Townsend followed, and he got our album, and he said, he wrote, there's no mobile phones or anything. I remember he said, I want to send Pete your album. Great. So Pete got the album and wrote back.
So this is a short note.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wrote back to this guy.
Yep.
Said, I love this record. And he's going on this. There was a DJ, famous English DJ called John Peel. And he went on John Peel's radio show and played our album. Oh. And I said, wow, well, can I get it? I'll write to him. So I got his address and wrote to him. And he wrote back. So I got 3 or 4 letters from him at home, and I sent him. It used to be that magazine, Duke magazine.
Yeah. Loved it.
And there was a photo of the Who Sell Out, and it's Pete Townsend with a big Odorono stick under his arm, and it says Oz stinks, and it says why the Who will never come to Australia. And I sent him that, and he said, I don't think. I remember he sent me back a letter saying, I don't really think Oz stinks, and blah blah blah. And they had a really hard time when they came here in the 60s. So. Years later, I tried to go and meet him when I was in the Diviners.
That was my question. Have you met him?
I did. And so this is bizarre. This was incredible, actually. I get more awestruck meeting Wally Lewis. I was been completely awestruck when I met Wally.
Yep.
But so the Who came out here twice. In the last 15 years, they've been out here twice.
Yeah, I've seen them once. Yeah.
First time, I never asked for favours in the music industry for me, but I'm ringing all the promoters going, "Could you get me in to meet them?" Couldn't. They were like not meeting anybody. Daltrey and Townsend, they're not meeting anybody. Then they came a few years later, and I'm back. Can you get me in? Can you get me in? And their publicist, they had this publicist, and she contacted me. She said, look, come out to the gig. And sometimes they meet people before they play. And it was pouring with rain, Now I can say this to you guys.
This is about 10 years ago, isn't it?
Yeah,
Is
a bit longer. Yeah, 12 years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
And I just had this will go down well. I just had a colonoscopy. No, actually, I was having one the next day. So if you've ever had one, you've got to drink this stuff, right?
4. Yep.
Oh, 4.
He can't get enough of him. He loves them.
Yeah.
I love drinking that stuff. That's not too bad.
No anaesthetic.
Yeah.
So I drank. So I was going to get it the next day. So that day, you just and it was pouring with rain, and I thought, I've just seen them a couple of years ago, and she said, "No, I've got a ticket for you. Just come out, and we'll get you in." And now it was pouring with rain. They were delayed, so they weren't meeting anyone before they played. So I get out there, and I've got a seat up in the nosebleed, and I'm sitting there by myself, like going,
Oh yeah, I hope I don't have to run.
yeah.
But you do.
Oh, you do. Oh, fuck. Well, I think I got rid of everything by the time I got out there.
Oh, did you? Oh, that's okay.
It was impossible, but and then I just had the shits.
Basically.
And I was going to leave. I got to the end, and she rang me and she said, "Where are you?" And I said, "Oh, I'm just leaving." And she said, "Come to the front of the stage." So I go to the front of the stage. She said, "Come with me," and took me out the back. There's no one around, no one, and there's Pete standing outside the dressing room, and he says, "Rick, how are you?" And he was very he's in his mid-70s,
Yeah.
and he's just done a 2-hour show, so he's like, "How?" And I said, "Hi," and he said, "I'm really sorry to hear about Matt dying." And he said, "I love that record," and then he started asking me about that record, and then he said, "And Chrissy Amplett's sick." And I want to ask him about Quadrophenia, right? And I'm like, yeah. And he said, "Oh, I saw you guys playing the Divinals. I met John Entwistle in New York when we played there, but I didn't know that he'd come as well to see us." And then he says, "Now, that song Bittersweet," asked me about Bittersweet. He loved that song Bittersweet. And I'm like, I wanted to ask him things, and this publicist had sort of worded him up, and he was so nice. He was very nice, but he was really tired.
Was that the Counting Crows who were supporting them?
No.
Wasn't it?
I don't think so.
Well, I'd seen them, and Roger Daltrey didn't speak to anyone, and Pete Townsend did all the talking.
That's
and his
right, on
brother
stage,
Simon was playing guitar.
That's right.
And I think it was
Pino Palladino playing bass.
Yes, and Rick Starkey was on drums.
Zach Starkey, yeah.
Yeah, Jack's
and Rabbit Bundrick playing.
Yeah, can you believe it?
Great band.
Yeah.
Good band.
Talking of other big names, James Hetfield, I believe you're a mate of his, and how did that come about?
No. Metallica.
From Metallica.
You're joking me, Rick.
Yeah.
You've never told me any of this.
That's because he wants to know all about cricket.
We'll get to that.
And the Rabbitohs.
Yeah. There's a funny thing about the last time Metallica played here was at Soundwave, and it was out at the stadium.
Yeah.
And they had cordoned off. They had this whole area for them, and I've gone out there to see James, and I'm in their dressing room. There's this big photo of John Sattler. And I said, "Do you know who that guy is?" And I told him, and he said, James is like, "Well, we'll use that as a motivation before we go on stage." Sats, big photo of Sats. He's a great man. He's a great man.
Huge band. I mean, how big are they be?
What about the drummer?
Yeah.
Did you meet him?
Yeah. He's always very nice to me, but there's this dynamic in that band that I've seen them maybe.
Who? Lars
10.
Ulrich, yeah.
Lars, I've seen them maybe 10 times. Metallica.
Have you really?
Yeah.
Jeez.
So I'm not really a Metallica fan. And so.
But the shows they put on are
incredible.
Mega, aren't they?
They're incredible.
Yeah.
But it was a funny thing because we were doing the big day out, and he was 6 months sober. And on that big day out, there was Dandy Warhols, Kings of Leon, The Strokes.
Wow.
It was a drug
drug lineup.
I mean, it was like
Drug Olympics.
So the first gig was in the Gold Coast, and we thought that Metallica. We were on the stage just before them, and we thought they're going to be this machine that comes in and just pushes the little Aussie band out of the way, you know. And they were quite the opposite to that, but they. So one of the organisers of the big day out said, "Look, James Hetfield, 6 months sober. Would you meet with him? Because, you know, he wants to meet someone else." So, and I wasn't really intimidated because I wasn't really a big fan.
Yeah.
So,
sure.
okay, I didn't really know all that much about them. I hadn't really paid, I like that Black record, but I'm in the dressing room and the big day out and this guy comes in, he's like this huge Hell's Angel. "You, Rick?" I said, "Yeah, come with me, please." Takes me into this other area and there's James. And I don't know, it was just, like, I've done, like, the secret society of AA that exists around the world. It happens all the time, you know. You get a phone call and you say, "Oh, would you meet with someone?" Or, "I've gone over there and, you know, I want to meet, I might be in I don't know, Boston or somewhere and you know, I'd like to have a contact there." And so he, but with him, it was completely unexpected. I just hit it off, you know, and they were here for like 3 weeks, or maybe longer, and we went to the football. We just hang out, and
He'd have to get recognised everywhere he goes.
He usually most times he'd have this guy, the Hell's Angel guy, with him,
Yeah.
who would sit somewhere else.
Yeah.
He was great guy. He was from New Zealand actually, and James he'd get recognised. People would come up and he'd say, it depends how people would approach him. You know, people come up and go, "Oh, you're James Hetfield," and he'd go, "I'm having private time." You know, because people will just, you'd be sitting there talking and people just kind of barge in, you know.
I'm glad it happens in the music industry. As well. I know.
Oh, but he's just a great guy, and we just hit it off. And we had this, you know, it's a hard thing to explain, but sometimes, you know, there's a saying in AA, sometimes you'll hear someone tell your own story back to you.
Yeah.
And that's what happened with him and I.
Is he still sober now?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, he had a bit of a lapse a few years ago.
Had they done that documentary?
No,
then?
so that was just about to be released.
Okay.
And he said, we've just done this thing. He said, it was
unbelievable.
It's a fantastic documentary.
Yeah, I've seen that doc.
And he
Great doc.
said, it doesn't show us in a very good light, you know.
No, it does.
It does, because it doesn't, you know, because it's a warts and all thing, you know, and he... So we became friends, and the last night they were here on that tour, we went out for dinner. And we were in Perth. We finished in Perth, and we have stuff. Won't go into it here, but you know, childhood stuff that happened.
Yeah.
That very, very similar, and we got really emotional, and we both got really teary at this table. And he's grabbed my hand, and we're both at this table, and I said, "Hey, if someone walks past and recognises you in tears now, it's not going to be good for you."
Or me.
So, and then, you know, when he's come, he what he does is he comes here and he comes and sees me, and he goes out and sees, he's got a friend out at Penrith who races hot rod cars, so he goes out and sees him. And we don't really talk about, I don't know, different stuff. I mean, he's a lovely, lovely man, you know. And I say to him, you know, like, go and see them, and it's like a religious rally, you know. It's like, and he's the singer, and he'll come off stage, and I'm just going,
Yeah.
Who was the bass player, Rick? What bass players have you seen play with?
Just the same guy.
Robert
Trujillo.
Yeah.
The big guy. Yeah.
Did you ever
Robert
see
Trujillo.
that Cliff Burton? Have you seen some stuff?
I've seen Cliff.
The one before him?
Yeah.
Was he the bass player before?
Jason Newstead was
I
on.
wasn't
like
right.
Jason
Didn't
Newstead.
like him at all. He was a plectrum player.
But
Cliff Burton.
What's wrong with that, mate?
Nothing, mate, nothing.
I wanted to
What are you
ask
saying
you
there?
that. I wanted to ask you that. because I see Ray playing with the thumb sometimes, and I see guys doing that. But you've always played with the plectrum?
I do. It depends. If if I'm recording or I play with the fingers, or I like the sound.
Slapping?
No, never liked that. Never liked it. And
do you prefer to play with the plectrum?
So people ask me, why do you play with the plectrum? I can't answer that. I don't. When I first started playing, I loved the sound.
Yeah.
I just loved the sound, and I didn't even think about it until there's a guy called Phil Scorgie. Do you know who Phil Scorgie is?
Who's Phil Scorgie? Why have I heard of him?
He's my nemesis.
Yeah. Why have I heard of him?
I work with him. So Phil is he should have been in New York in the 70s. He's like up there. He's the most incredible bass player. He's a few years older than me. He played on the morning show. In Jeff Harvey
band. Jeff Harvey's band.
But he's played with Renee Gayer and he's one of those guys. It's just like and I work with him teaching. At where I work, and we get on well now. But he's very condescending to rock music. He just thinks, it's just anyone can play that,
But back to plectrum playing. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, but he can't understand.
Could he do it? Could he play with a
Does he?
Yeah.
No.
He's all fingers and thumb, is he?
Yeah. No, he can't.
Yeah, because I do both. So, because like you just said. But when I was playing with Doc Neeson band, we were going through the first song. And we were rehearsing here, and I started playing. And stop! What are you doing? I'm going, I'm playing the song. No, where's your plectrum? Could not play with my fingers at all and he explained it, and it was really good.
Well, he didn't want you to.
No, he didn't want it to, because he's going on about Buzz Bidstrup all the time. Loved Buzz's drumming, and because of this backbeat and all this stuff.
That's
and
right.
he goes, I need that tight playing.
That's right.
Even when you filled in for me one night, you just
I played pick.
pick all night.
Yeah.
Because is it a cleaner sound
it's just a different. It's a
but for Doc, would it have been a cleaner
Attack. There's more
He
attack.
just said he
More
wanted
attack.
that attack. That's what he wanted.
Yeah. It's my thing. It's kind of my thing.
It is.
It's like that's what I've always just done it. It's funny. When you've been around a while and you get guys coming up. I had a guy who played bass with Darryl Braithwaite, and we were doing a gig together, one of those Day on the Green things, and he's come up to me and he goes, he was in his 40s or something, I suppose, and he said, I really like that Matt Finish record, and and he said, how do you get that sound? And I was like, I don't know, I can't. And he said, you're being all exclusive, are you? And I said,
not going to let the secret out.
Because like we were talking about the other day, and there's a great story I heard about Ian Moss, meeting this young kid who had just won a sort of a copy of a guitar and a little amp, and he plugged it in for this kid and started playing, and my friend who was there just sounded like he does with a chisel, if I play through a little amp or a big amp or whatever, I always sound a certain way, and our guitarist or Martin Rotzi or Jim Magini or people like that, they always sound a certain way because it comes from the hands. It doesn't come from the amp.
Yeah. On another topic, you go into speaking to jails as well. You do a lot of that stuff. What's that about?
No, he doesn't want to talk about it. Did you break out of jail? Did you go to jail?
No.
Okay.
I thought about doing stuff that I would have ended up in jail.
Yeah, me too.
Just about drugs and alcohol.
Okay, like a counselling kind of.
Yeah, I'd just go out and tell your story.
Yep.
And then you've got 15 guys in green tracksuits there. Mm. I've been doing it for 25 years, and if you go out there,
is that out to Long Bay or
and Park Lee? And
wow.
Go out there. Maybe once every 6 weeks, maybe or four, and so you get to know people if they're doing a long stretch, and then they, you never ask somebody what they're in there for, but they start telling you all sorts of stuff after a while, And I went out. It's funny. I went out to Parklea just about a year ago, and you go in the different sections in Parklea, and one of them, they don't racially split you up, but some areas are Middle Eastern, more Middle Eastern, and some of them are Asian, and so we're in the Vietnamese section. And I'm with this friend of mine he's a classic. He's been sober longer than me. He's about 40 years. And he's funny, and he knows it so well. But when you get out there, there's a certain way you talk, to them. And so we've got these 10 Vietnamese guys listening to us, and we tell our story. And there's a guy sitting there, and he's probably 45. He's got hair down to here.
Lucky bugger.
And he's sitting there like this, just like tough guy, He's tell us stories, and he comes over and he says, really liked hearing you blokes. It's good. I said, oh, thanks, I'm with my friend Derek. And he says, yeah, I don't take drugs myself. I sell them. He says, and I'm really good at it. And my friend goes, not that good.
Not that good. You're fucking in jail, mate. Good. You're not that good.
That's it.
Oh. But I've been out there. I saw Rogerson out there one day.
Wow. I had lunch with Rogerson about 15 years ago.
Did you?
Yeah, that was really crazy.
Really?
Maybe 20 years ago with a couple of policemen that I knew through the cricket. And one was his brother.
Right.
And then they said, let's go down the rocks and have lunch.
Wow.
So I did.
How was that?
I asked him about all those stories, and he said, yeah, that's true. And then we were chasing this bloke up in the northern suburbs, and we thought he was in the bathroom. And I had my little sawn-off shotty, so I just tapped on the window. And guess what he did, Mike? He put his fucking head out the window, and I just went, boom. Yeah, mate, these were the stories he told at lunch that day.
Wow. Who paid for lunch?
I think the guy, Brian Breakspear, who was the policeman I knew, and I got to meet this Brian Breakspear. He knocked on the door one day at the SCG, and I had to open the door, and there's this guy in the sergeant's outfit. And he goes, I look after all the coppers for events and that, so I'm looking after everybody here at the SCG. Can you get this bat autographed for me for the police, New South Wales Police cricket team? What are you going to say? Fuck off. Yeah, he's the sergeant of the police. So we did, and we all ended up being vice presidents of the New South Wales Police cricket team and stuff like that. And I still know this guy, Brian Breakspear, but he went through learning to be a copper in Goulburn with Rogerson's brother. So that's how he knew. And he said, I'm going to lunch with the Rogerson brothers. Do you want to come? And I went, in me head, fuck, this might be interesting, because I'd seen and read all these stories about Roger. It was unbelievable, but now he's dead, as you know. Dawsey, I know we have to wrap up pretty soon.
Yeah, so what I would like to bring up too is the Rabbitohs and rugby league, because we know that you're a supporter of the Rabbitohs, and well, it's not a good time for the Rabbitohs at the moment, but there's a synergy there between you and Widow.
Happened on day one when we met at Clovelly, didn't we? We had a bit of brekkie down there with Dave Robber.
Yes, we did. Oh,
did you play footy at school? No. Or no?
I did, but very badly.
Yeah.
It was a bit of a joke, really.
Yeah.
Well, I was down at the Heffron Centre yesterday watching the captain's run. There's a few names out there I don't even know their names. These young blokes.
Good luck to them. Yeah.
We've got a whole team sitting in the injury and in the shed. Like, Cameron Murray's out for 6 to 8 weeks. We've lost this guy. Isaiah Tass has chipped his ankle, all this sort of stuff. So it's just one of those moments we're going through. But I said, as bad as we're going, these 2 or 3 kids that are going to debut, it's the biggest day of their life. Good luck playing for the Rabbitohs. I mean, unbelievable.
People say, it's like, what's the big concert you've played at? Or, I always think, high points in my life. We got taken out for dinner by John Sattler one night up on the Gold Coast, and we did a favour for him. So he took us out for dinner, and I think he thought that, I'm going out with these kind of drugged out rock and rollers, and I'll just have to sort of put up with it for the night. And he's at the table, and I said to him, I have photos of you all over my wall when I was a kid.
Me too.
He's like, what?
Yeah, me too.
And then I recited the whole of the 1970 Souths team to him.
Yep.
He couldn't believe it. And he started telling us stories.
Yep.
And he told us it's a great thing about Redfern. You imagine Redfern Oval in the 60s, right? There's no facilities there.
It was.
And
I
they
used to go. My father
I used to go too.
yeah, so did I.
Yeah.
And he said what they do at training.
Like we all could have been there in the one game. How bizarre.
The training was the first grade versus the reserve grade touch. They at the end of training they'd have a game of touch, and it'd get quite physical. And they're playing touch, and John O'Neill was one of the reserve graders runs into John O'Neill and popped his shoulder out of the socket. This is a game of touch, and John O'Neill is pulled his shoulder out, you know. So he's on the ground screaming. Winter's night, you know, Redfern Oval, and the trainer has got his foot on you know, trying to push push it back in and can't get it back in. So Sat said it was him and Gary Stevens,
second round, great player.
And they get him to South Sydney Hospital, and he's in agony, right? And they've got him on the table, and they're trying to push this thing back in. He's bellowing his head, and they're holding him down while the doctors are trying to get this thing back in. And he said the curtains part, and this woman comes in. She's a matron, and she says, "What's all this noise?" And she said, "Oh, John O'Neill, the toughest man in Sydney football." She says, "I've got a woman downstairs who's just given birth to twins. She is not making any noise like you." And John O'Neill said to her, "Well, why don't you go back down and shove them back in?" That's what she says.
Because after they put the arm back, he played that weekend. Yeah.
Oh, probably. I don't know.
So you'll remember 67, 68, we won. 69, got beat by Balmain.
Go the Tigers.
70, 71, we won. Played 5 grand finals and won 4. In 67, I was 8. It was that 5-year period.
Game, yeah.
That 5-year period, but and I had Johnny Sattler, Ron Curt, Elmer Walters.
My favourite was Dennis Pittard.
The 5'8",
Dennis.
Bobby Grant, halfback. I mean, they were heroes. And Sats was my hero. I didn't meet him till my late 20s. Yeah. And I got to tell you, bro, my hand, I was shaking.
What a lovely
And this is what he said to me. "Love the way you're playing cricket, Mike." I went, "Oh!" Mate, this was my hero. Hero. But more than Dougie Walters was my cricket hero. But Sats.
Oh, mate.
Sats was my hero.
He just had something, didn't he?
Sats was my hero. Have we got to tidy up?
Yeah, one more thing. I know you're off with the Gurus to Brazil, is it? In a couple of months, and then the States.
In August,
Yeah, so that'll be massive. You guys have probably played in Brazil many times before.
Oh, we went last year.
Okay.
We went. We're doing pretty much the same thing. We go to Brazil for 2 weeks and then go to the States for 6 weeks.
Yep.
And we in the 90s we went there a couple of times to Brazil, and it's
good view.
It's great.
Have you got a favourite Guru song? I have.
I thought he meant Guru as in Eric Gross and the Gurus.
He's on next week, Guru, and you're running. Have you got a favourite Guru song?
Yeah, come anytime.
Yeah.
Is it?
What's yours? Have you got a favourite Hoodoo Guru song?
No, I don't like him.
Right Time.
We get guys coming up going, "Yeah, you guys used to be good, yeah." I like your first album.
What about Like
Everyone
the right
loved
time,
the first album, didn't
Like
they?
the Right Time. Oh, what a great song that is.
We do Wipeout and stuff like that. Wipeout and that, yeah.
Here we come again. Gonna step on you. Just get out of our way. Now, that's it, isn't it?
Mate,
That's it.
Is that the time? Oh.
One more thing before we finish. You two guys play in the same band, believe it or not.
yeah, can you believe it?
Oh, Steve Hart.
Steve Hart Band.
Yes, Ray's recently done a few fill-ins with
right.
Steve.
Have you
and
played with Rowan before?
Yeah.
Yeah. Was he in Matt Finish?
He was later on.
And
No,
you played?
no,
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
I played on a record that he was heavily involved with later on.
Okay.
It's called Matt Finish, but that was in the 90s.
Yeah.
Rowan's a legend. That's why I do that Steve Hart thing, because of Rowan.
What a man.
What about PC?
Wow.
PC's a unit. That's
What
another
about PC?
story.
Yeah.
PC.
Have you got a lot of stories of PC?
PC,
Or
PC's always been very nice. Well, no, he hasn't actually. I tell a lie. But he like talking about a pick.
Yep.
So when I first met PC, It was when I was going to have a play with Matt Finish, and he was at the rehearsal. And Matt said to me, PC's seen us. You know, it was for 4 weeks. He knows us, kind of knows our songs, so we'll probably take him. I'm like, yeah, whatever. And then he said to me, he got the phone call from Ross Wilson, went off and Mondo Rock, but he said to me, what are you doing playing with a pig? And he was a real arsehole. He was a real arsehole to me that day, and I've never forgotten about it. And and he said, and
doesn't he do pig?
So 2 years later, 3 years later,
Yeah.
the first night I came back from Melbourne to play with the Divinals, and the manager Vince picked me up at the airport and said we're going to see them. We went out to the Manly Vale Hotel, and the Divinals were supporting the Angels, and Chris Bailey, the bass player in the Angels, had an eye operation. So guess who they've got filling in? PC. And I get there and I watch the Divinals, and this is my first introduction to Richard Harvey, right, the drummer. And I'm standing on the stage, and PC this is no joke, he's standing in front of Doc on the stage. Like with and he saw me on the side and he goes,
with them playing with the pick.
I was livid. Then I hear
he
from
held
behind
the pick
me.
Up, did he?
He went. And from behind me, there's a voice goes, PC, you're a fake. Fuck off. Turn around and it's Richard Harvey. That's great.
Oh, Rick.
Great drummer. Great drummer.
We could spend another 2 hours talking to you. You're a legend. Thank you for your time. Look, the stories about Matt Finish and the Divinals, unbelievable. You're still playing with the Hoodoo Gurus. That's been a 30-year gig for you. Unbelievable music, mate. And just to be touring at this stage with that band is
we're all amazed.
Phenomenal. And you're having fun.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. You're still helping people in recovery. Yeah. You're going to jails and helping those guys get through. And you're also teaching music. And I've been into that studio and had a rehearsal where you're teaching in the city.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you're in a great place, mate.
Oh, no.
Unbelievable.
Every day of my life, I wake up and I'm grateful.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
It's no joke. It's not a joke. It's true. Because
it's a great journey, like really.
Phenomenal journey, mate. Phenomenal stories.
And my son is funny. He says, gee, because he's a musician, and he says, you're so lucky when you grew up, you must have just, in the 80s, just been walking around going, this is amazing. It's like,
and what do you go?
Really?
I do. I go, fuck yeah, the 80s were great.
Oh, no, I do. Like, now I look back and I think, wow, that's an incredible time, but really, back then you get your worksheet and you go, we've got to play there.
For 200.
Everyone does it then. Everyone does it then.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. You're still playing for 200. I can't believe you're doing that.
And you get in the car, and you play in Brisbane, get in the car and drive back to Sydney after the gig.
And have a whinge about it too.
I know, it's great.
Incredible.
Rick Grossman, what a legend. Thank you for your time, brother. We might get you back in a year's time to conclude the other 2 hours.
Tell us some stories about Brazil next year.
Yes,
hey, Brazilian!
Because I like what they did to the girls, Brazil.
Ray, we've got to clean up this. You've been filthy tonight.
Sorry, bye.
But yeah, thanks again,
Good
Rick.
on you, Rick.
And until next time,
How's it?